I've been doing YouTube for the past 12 years. I started December the 15th, 2013. Whenever I do an anniversary video, those numbers just do not feel real. Over the years, I've told countless stories. I've made so many Sims in predominantly The Sims 3 and The Sims 4, considering The Sims 3 is where this whole YouTube journey kind of started, and it is all down to you guys. The opportunities that I've had, the things that I've been able to do because of my YouTube channel is all down to you lot watching and relating to The Sims and enjoying the stories and just kind of exploring the game alongside me. But at the core of all of that is my Sims. I mean, yeah, you might tune in for me, you might want to know what's going on in my life here and there, but I feel like so many of you relate to the characters that you see on your screen, and I have already done a video where I actually tier ranked my own Let's Plays, so you didn't have to, unless. And today we are going to be doing that, but less focus on kind of the story and the actual let's play itself, more focused on the Sims that I created, the families. You all know that I absolutely love talking about the townies in The Sims 4, so I kind of wanted to do the same type of video, but with my own Sims that I've created. Also, yeah, it feels really weird for me to have my nails painted, but I went to an event on Friday hosted by the one and only Ebonics. We were celebrating 10 years of Ebonics, which we love, and there was a nail bar, because obviously Ebonics helped with the nails that were introduced in Spa Day, and I got the little plus and the minus sign so I can tell people if I'm in a good mood or a bad mood. Today, I'm feeling pretty good. Honestly, if you do this, please tag me on either Instagram or Twitter, wherever you post it. I would like to be tagged, or you can just tell me some of your faves down below. I'm interested to see if your favorite families also just correlate to your favorite Let's Plays and kind of the memories that you have around them, and I'm excited to see if that's true for my own. I haven't watched the Let's Play video, so it'll definitely be interesting, 3 years later, to see if any feelings have changed. And we've also made different families since then. Can we just take a minute for the amount of otter puns that were available to us during the 13 Souls challenge? Now, like I said, one of my favorite Let's Plays. I think this is a severely underrated series on my channel. I think if people actually watch this now, I don't know how I would feel about it if I watched it now. I just remember it was a lot of fun recording at the time, and Paige was also just an iconic Sim. However, I don't think she's iconic enough to go into Motherload. She's a very close second though. Definitely just Pip to the post. We have the Belong There household, all about LGBTQ plus representation, all about found family, and I absolutely adore these Sims. They have an extremely special place in my heart. I was just so glad that I could bring LGBT rep to the forefront of this series, and I see so many elements of myself in kind of all of these Sims. Now, obviously, I do want to talk about the elephant in the room. I am using photos of some of these households. They're just from the main menu of the game, and then more so from my Sims 3 I'm using the thumbnails, which kind of do show off the families. So that's why a couple of these have shifted from the very start of the Let's Play, but the 3 main Sims in this were Desiree, Eliza, and also, why have I blanked on his name? That's actually so bad of me. Dom. Oh my jeez. These are definitely going into Motherload. I can't help it. I just absolutely adore this family. I love their makeup. I love all of the Sims individually, as equals. I just think they are some of my most intriguing Sims. Next up, we have the Black Widow challenge household. Now, I think this is possibly my favorite series I have ever done. I think when people ask me, like, what's your favorite Let's Play, like, what is the one you would recommend to people? I just think that this challenge in particular kind of shows off my creativity. It showed off like me kind of running with the game and then also like letting the game dictate what we do and the chaos of that, whilst also like having these storylines and kind of my interest in who to choose as who we were going to have as like a suitor, for example. I'm going to be so real with you though. I really don't remember a lot about the Black Widow household. Like, I do not remember any of our kids. Of course, I remember Eden. She is the most iconic sim I think personally I've ever made. Like, she just sticks out in my brain. However, for the whole household, I'm so sorry, they're gonna go into Rosebud. A more recent addition, we have the Businesses and Hobbies family. I've already forgotten so many names. I can't be held responsible for that. I'm sorry, I create so many Sims and I play with so many Sims, but it was just these two that were in the original household and I absolutely love them. Finn was basically dumped by Trashly. He's basically Dustbin Baby. Jacqueline Wilson, who? And I can't put them anywhere else but Rosebud. I love a fun dynamic in a household and these two had such a fun dynamic. Cats and dogs, which I do love this household, but for some reason they just don't really stand out to me. I also really loved playing as like a techie sim. I really don't think I do that often, which is weird considering, you know, my whole career is like playing video games and, you know, I have custom built PCs and things like that, but I just don't really play gamers all that frequently. So that was actually a really fun element of like cats and dogs. But these three are gonna go into Crumple Bottom. I feel like I should apologize to any cats and dogs fans. I love them, but you know, there's just like some other families that I just find more intriguing. My city living household. These were the original trio. I think I loved the city living sims so much because San Myshuno just feels like so similar to where I live, even though it's not really based off like an English city, and it honestly doesn't even really feel like Manchester. I just think like the culture and the diversity and all of the different like clothes from cultural pieces just like fit so perfectly, and I just think like these three sims actually showed all of that off so well, and it would honestly be a crime for me to put them anywhere lower than Rosebud, but I am gonna place them above Paige, however below my Black Widow challenge. Just know Eden is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Just like she carried my channel all throughout the years of me doing this Let's Play, she's also now carrying the family. My crank household, of course, my base game Sims 4 household, who I originally started playing with. We had Tom and Emma as the parental figures. They have obviously passed away in this. We didn't even have ghosts, I don't think, when they passed away, which is a wild thought. Of course, they're always going to be important to me. They were the very first household that I ever explored The Sims 4 with, which meant there was a lot of big personalities. You know, we were playing around with a lot of different trait combinations. We were playing around with a lot of different careers, and they all felt individual. They all felt like different characters, which I know people have said like in the Sims 4 base game they like struggle to make different kinds of Sims, but I think because it was so brand new, I was just having fun like experimenting with the game, so they're definitely gonna have to go into Rosebud. I'm sorry, City Living Sims, I know I've just put you there, but you just can't replace your OG family. Next we have my Crystal Creations household. Now she actually had two dads, which I kind of wish they were in the image orphanage because that was like the core family. However, with it being a stuff pack, and I was more so focused on like the jewelry side of things, I was more so focused on the story of like exploring that stuff pack. I don't think I got enough time with this household, so they're actually gonna go into Grim Reaper. Whilst I loved it and I did enjoy the playthrough, it just kind of felt like I was focused more on the pack content than anything else. My little gaze. I'm just not even gonna hesitate. Definitely my eco lifestyle household. V and Alice, I love them. There's literally nothing more that I can say. When I started Eco Lifestyle, I really didn't think that this family were gonna become like one of my favorites. Like, I knew that I really, really enjoyed their personalities. And again, I feel because I like played them so deeply, even though this was basically a challenge, like I was doing a rags to riches, it was called rags to recycle, and I was basically earning money off like recycling things. We could only dumpster dive, and that was the way that we like fleshed out our home. We could only own things if we either made it on the furniture creator or if we found it in a dumpster. And I usually feel like when we're doing a challenged based thing, I'm just like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna make these Sims, but we're not really gonna focus too heavy on their story. I'm more so focused on like the goals that we need to complete and like getting them to like this point in life. Whereas these two just like absolutely stole my heart. They were so much more than I ever thought they were going to be, and they were fully fleshed out in their hobbies and their interests, and they were two completely different Sims from each other, but they had like love and respect, and oh, I could yap about them all day. My Enchanted by Nature babies. Now here's the thing, obviously this is very, very recent, and I know, fell off with my Enchanted by Nature, like, story. And that was just because, I'm not gonna lie, I think I started losing interest on, like, focusing solely on, like, the pack content, which just meant that my stories, like, weren't as strong as I would have wanted them to be. And sometimes I don't really know how to wrap them up when I start feeling like that. However, I love each of these Sims individually. Like, as a household, Let's Play aside, I think these are such cool Sims. And I'm really, really proud of how they turned out. I love each of them individually. I love, again, how, like, different they are and, like, the different elements to them. And also, like, how they actually interact with one another and the world around them. I am gonna put them in to Rosebud. I do really enjoy them as a household, even if I didn't like finish the story, which I do apologize for, but sometimes storylines just kind of fizzle out, even though I do tend to think of like, okay, this is the overarching like idea of where I want this story to go. I sometimes feel like the game just doesn't allow you to get like as in depth as you want it to be, and that's usually why my ideas do start to fizzle. Now this is an exception against the rule because I haven't included like my Bachelor or Bachelorette challenge. I have included some other challenges. We have like the Runaway Teen, but I haven't really included those ones that are like voted for by you lot, you know, voted on by the audience. But I couldn't not do this video without my festive Big Brother house. Like, I know they're not a family, I know they're not like a household in the traditional sense. These were all pure strangers when we started this. These are actually going into Motherload. They're just fun, you know, like who would have ever thought that this cast would have captured my heart the way that they did. Ooh, I fear this is about to be an unpopular opinion. We have the like Frost reboot. This was my Parenthood Let's Play, so I basically took Ice from my original Generations Let's Play because I was like, Generations, Parenthood, I was kind of expecting them to be a little bit more similar. Whilst they were fun to play, I don't know why I did reboots. I think I honestly did them because I wanted to listen to you lot. Clearly, Generations and Jack and Elsa played such an important role in raising so many of you on the internet. Trust me, I get it. And I think because I was getting so many comments of just like, bring back the frost, like we want to see the frosts. So I rebooted it and it just didn't feel right. Like it just was never gonna hit, you know. Sometimes things just need to be left where they were. They were perfection for a reason. We got so much enjoyment out of them, but nostalgia is nostalgic for a reason, you know? And unfortunately, these are going into Tragic Clown. My Get Famous household, again, my babies. I feel so protective over so many of these households. Get Famous was kind of another one where I wasn't really expecting to like fall for The Sims as much as I did. So different from one another, and I was playing with like so many different elements. And I also took like the DJ production side of things from Get Together and included it in this. And then I also had like a fashion stylist, and then of course the actor which came with that Let's Play. They all felt really cohesive, and I love where their story took them. Honestly, going up into Motherload. This is actually Get Together, but these aren't the original Sims, so I'm gonna miss this one. Next up, we have My Gold Digger Family, which was kind of like a spin-off, but like a new version of the Black Widow challenge, and this was all like based around Get Famous. That's how you can tell Get Famous had such like an influence on me, because I was like, wait, I could actually do a challenge where I try and become like a 5-star celebrity and like a multi-mega millionaire living in Del Sol Valley, but actually tie in like the Black Widow challenge. Edith wasn't as iconic as Eden. However, I did really, really enjoy her. So she's actually gonna go into Rosebud just below Paige Otters. I don't know why I was about to apologize for being biased, as if I wasn't gonna be biased considering these are all Sims that I've created and like stories that I've told. This whole video is biased. So of course, Rosebud is probably gonna be the biggest category that we have. Oh my growing together Sims. I don't know what it is about like familial gameplay. Maybe it's because I am the baby of 7 children and we're a really like close-knit family, especially with like extended family as well. But I absolutely adore familial gameplay, and this one is so cozy. If you've never watched Growing Together, I feel like now is like the perfect time to do it, because it just kind of gives you like the warm fuzzies, and this kind of felt like a Sims 3 Let's Play. I'm not even gonna lie to you all, if you've been missing like the vibes of Sims 3 Let's Plays, go watch Growing Together. Now, I said this wasn't gonna be about the like overarching series of Let's Play as much as it is about the families, but I also just adore each and every single one of these Sims. Like, the children felt like my own children. I was very protective of their marriage. I absolutely love them, and they are going just behind Eco Lifestyle, which surprisingly, if you enjoyed Eco Lifestyle, I really feel like you'll enjoy Growing Together. I am kind of talking about the Let's Play as a whole for this one, because that actually wasn't included in my Let's Play video. So, you know, I've got to toot my own horn a little bit. Got to get a bit of that cross promo going on. My Heyday Family, another familial gameplay, an absolutely huge family. All the kids had like their own individual like hobbies and the way that they interacted with each other, which I think just makes such like fun potential gameplay. But I think they're gonna go into Rosebud just behind the Cranks. If I could, these 3 are kind of all on the same level. My Black Widow household, my Cranks, and also my Heyday Family, they're all equal in my brain. High school years, absolutely no doubt about it. They're going actually in front of my Get Famous. It was so funny to me because I felt like an oracle throughout this Let's Play. Honestly, recently, I felt like an oracle of The Sims 4, and I know that sounds ridiculous to say. You're all probably sat there like, okay, I think we need to be brought down a peg or two, because what the hell do you mean? But throughout this LP, I actually, like, had these 2 have basically, like, family dynamics, and family dynamics weren't even a thing in high school years. They obviously came in Growing Together, but yeah, they were definitely going through through some things. I used the new fear system that had come like pretty much just before high school years came out, I think, as basically midlife crises, which again also came in Growing Together, which was like the pack after high school years. I felt like I just had predictions of what were gonna happen, and it was so weird. And I went on like a 3-pack streak. Like, though, I would play one Let's Play and like bring in all these elements, and then the next pack that came out had the stuff that I was already playing with and like stories that I was creating, and I was like, how am I doing this? It got a little bit scary. Probably one of the most interesting households I've ever made, as well as like some of the most interesting Sims. Also, Michaels versus Michelson in Growing Together. Not gonna lie, kind of insulting that I didn't get written a check for Growing Together, because I feel like I may have influenced someone at the office. That was a joke for legal reasons. That was a joke. Sims team, I'm not trying to claim anything, I promise you. I was basically playing 2 households throughout Horse Ranch, which is something I don't really do all that often in The Sims 4. I haven't really done it since like Young'uns, and I don't honestly ever really think I did it in The Sims 3. So I don't know why I feel like nostalgic about The Sims 3 when I do that, because I didn't really play rotationally there anyway. I guess in Generations maybe we had like other households like interconnected, so it could potentially be part of that. And I absolutely love these boys, but I think I love their dynamic and kind of their backstory and their wider families and all of that more so than the Sims. So they are going into the top of Crumple Bottom. I know I say it all the time, but if it weren't for my island living Sims, I would not have enjoyed island living as much as I did. So many people like poop all over island living, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I can't help but love it. And that's because of these guys right here. I love how I had like the 2 elder parents, and they kind of like worked to thrive on the island, and they were such a big part of like the community. They definitely have to go into Rosebud, and they might honestly knock the Black Widow challenge off the top of Rosebud, just because this is kind of like Eden versus the whole family, and the whole family definitely take it. My Jungle Adventure Sims, I'm sorry, they were merely a pawn in my game. I didn't really care for these Sims. They were just like fun Sims to kind of explore the pack with. They were cute. I'm fairly sure I created this Sim 10,000 times over, and around the time of playing Jungle Adventure, I played with this Sim in like 10,000 different households, and I just kind of changed her hair and her vibes because I thought she was a really cute Sim. She was my computer background for like 2 years, I'm fairly sure. If you watch any videos from around the time that Jungle Adventure came out, when I was like recording in my old bedroom and you could see like my monitors, she would have been there. But I was just like, yeah, they're good looking, so I guess you're my Jungle Adventure household. Lovestruck, I like the Sims, but they don't really stick out in my brain, so I'm gonna put them into Grim Reaper. However, my paranormal stuff, they're actually gonna go just below Get Famous in Motherload. Because we didn't have like a classic supernatural pack in The Sims 4, these were like my family, where I was like, I'm gonna get that out of me. We had like the Prince of Darkness, the Emo King himself, which again, I feel kind of took me back to The Sims 3, which is always gonna have more of a positive effect on how I feel about a household. But then I also had this like demon character. I was truly in my Critical Role era, and they were just so fun like as a household. The little girl who wanted to become a doll, name actually a more iconic storyline and a more iconic family dynamic than that. You can't. It doesn't get better than that. My Nightmare Legacy fam, I think these just have to hold a special place in my heart for how long I have played them. Like, I really still want to finish my Nightmare Legacy, but I don't know how to go about it. I might genuinely just record some like master videos, and I mean like 2-hour-long videos where I complete like the next 2 generations, because I really want to complete a legacy challenge at some point in The Sims 4, and I'm like so close. I think I'm on generation 8 or 9 at the minute, and I really just want to get it done. So if you would maybe like to see a master doc video of me just completing those generations, let me know in the comments down below, because I do apologize to everyone who was invested in my Nightmare Legacy. I really want to finish it. I really love all of the Sims. However, there's some that I prefer, obviously. Like, throughout a 10-generation legacy, there's definitely going to be Sims that you prefer playing over the others. So I feel like we kind of have to go for the average of how I feel, like, in general about all of the heirs and all of the siblings of the heirs who, not gonna lie, do usually just get ignored. Unless they jump off a boat in Sulani when they're already ridiculously tired and then they pass away and they were planned to be my heir, and then they just like get to reside in the family home forever and live that cushy life, and then I never forget about them because they're always hanging around like a bad smell. I am going to put them, after all of that, in Rosebud. I can't put them in Crumple Bottom, even though it's like the average. I love each and every one of those Sims so much. Just above Heyday. I'm so sorry. I know so many of you love my Pets playthrough, which unfortunately I did have to give up once upon a time because my Sims 3 just started to be really laggy again, and I couldn't like keep on top of it. I think because we were playing on a really big lot and we also had a lot of animals and stuff like that. I don't think I cared for these Sims as much as a lot of you did. I don't think they're gonna go into Tragic Clown, but they are going to go into Grim Reaper. My Big Sister challenge, I loved this series, but for some reason, it just like doesn't really stand out. I think I prefer like my Runaway Teen Sims. So they're actually going to go into Crumple Bottom. Millie from Dine Out, very fun series. You know, we were on that road to 5-star grind for a very long time when it came to our restaurant. And I enjoyed playing Millie, like when I was actually actively playing as her. But she doesn't really hold any memories in my brain. She's just kind of like, oh yeah, she's a Sim that I played. So she's also gonna go into Grim Reaper. My first Let's Play that I really did that kind of just focused on storytelling more so than a pack, more so than a challenge. This was really just a way for me to bring in drama into my game, and I loved the household. I love every single household that we had. Obviously we had the girlies living together, then we also like brought in their families and like had those kind of hang around each other and like get to know each other. I don't think Young Guns can be anywhere else but Motherlode because I had so much fun with every single Sim, and that means like wider family as well. They are gonna go above my high school years lot. Get Together Sims were fun, but they kind of felt a little bit too individual. I fear I kind of did the Sims 3 thing where you had very different and like distinctive personalities, but looking back on it, I'm like, what did these 3 actually have in common? Which is sometimes fair enough. Like sometimes you do just become roommates for like the ease of it, but as a household in general, I think I preferred Get Together once we actually started to have them like live their lives and settle down. I think if I went back and like replayed this household, I probably would have switched up a lot of the dynamics. I was kind of coming to terms with my sexuality like throughout this Let's Play, so it kind of makes sense that I would switch up the dynamics. Like, not gonna lie, I would probably have these two like fall in love with each other. I'd probably have a little Gelfie moment where they're like, oh my god, we shouldn't, but one of them is like really in love with the other, but they haven't accepted it. And I kind of wish I had done that because now I'm just like, oh, that was such a missed opportunity. I don't think they're bad enough that they're going to go into Tragic Clown. I think I'm going to put them at the top of Grim Reaper. Get to Work. Again, 4 Sims where you're like, what do you lot have in common? Minus these two being siblings. Probably the most amount of chaos I've ever had in a story, which makes me laugh because I literally had like a demon in this household. We had my Nightmare Legacy, which was just chaos from the get-go. But Get to Work just like took me to a place where I wasn't anticipating any of these Sims to go, and I thoroughly love them as a household. So I'm gonna honestly place them just below my Nightmare Legacy household. Runaway Teen, I really enjoy Hannah. I really enjoy that you lot got to create some lovers for her, and we all got to like vote and choose who she was gonna be with. But she's not super intriguing as a sim. Bottom of crumple bottom for you, Hannah. I'm not going to think about it too much. While sadly, my Sims 3 ambitions ended pretty much in the same way my Sims 3 pets did, in which I never actually actively finished the Let's Play. I did really enjoy the Sims that I made. I can't honestly really remember the dynamics between all of them or like their careers. I just have really fond memories of them, like actually as a household. So therefore, I'm going to put them at the top of crumple bottom. Supernatural, it can't go anywhere but in Motherlode, but whereabouts do I place them? I think honestly above Young'uns. Again, they had dynamics that I could have never ever called. I love when the game kind of like creates friendships in a way that I don't expect as a person who's actually playing these Sims, and I kind of just went with it in Sims 3 Supernatural, and I think that's why it has like such a prominent place in my brain. I know I am about to hurt some people's feelings with this. I am gonna stab your nostalgia actually in the heart. So many of you are like, if you don't put that up here, I'm never gonna watch your channel ever again, because what do you mean? But thinking on it, I don't think Jack and Elsa were like the most iconic household that I've ever had. I'm sorry. There's just, I love the ship, and I love that I created a generations story around that. And I love that I kind of just went with like the cultural movement that was, of course, Jelsa. But they're really not the most interesting characters I've ever had. So I am actually gonna put them into Rosebud. I obviously think the memories of them carry them very, very far, so I'm going to put them ahead of the Cranks, but just below my Black Widow challenge. Should I go? Should I just leave? Do you just want to like turn off this video now? I'm going to look at my analytics, and it's just going to be like thousands of people logged off. University, I had fun with it. They're not really memorable Sims, in my opinion. Therefore, they are going to go just above the Sims 4 Dine Out. Late Night, my very first Let's Play, which I'm trying to like remove the feels of that being like my very first Let's Play and like my very first series that I ever did. I love how ballsy I was, honestly, at the age of 19 when I started my channel. I was like, you know what? I have enjoyed watching like Let's Plays and Sims 3 content for a really long time now. I used to watch Sims 2 Machinima like every day of my life. Let me just make my very first video on my channel a Let's Play. We're just gonna jump in head first, have a whole story and series. I'm not even going to introduce myself. It's just going to be Sims 3 Late Night. Give me back the confidence and the self-assurance that I had at 19 years old. Because I wish I didn't sit here and overthink every single choice and every single thing that I ever did on my channel nowadays. I really love these Sims. Even though I know it's probably because it was my very first series, I do think they were kind of iconic. Especially the vampire and also this Sim, which I think this Sim was called April, or maybe that was this one, but I absolutely loved her. So they are going into Rosebud, but I think quite low down, honestly. My Realm of Magic Sims, love the story, love their backgrounds. I think probably some of my most favorite when it comes to like backstories and kind of bringing in the lore, even though I didn't really play as like their household. They all had very different like backgrounds from one another, which kind of played into how they actually were within my storytelling. And I don't think I can put them anywhere but Motherlode, so they are going to go. This is tough. I think maybe above high school years. My Rooster to Riches, of course, my Hemford on Bagley Sims. They were inspired by the song Betty, Taylor Swift, which I love and obviously holds a very special place in my heart. but I don't think they were quite as like iconic as V and Alice. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to replicate. Again, replication and reboots never go the way that you want them to go. So they are going to go into Rosebud. I'm going to put them above my Get to Work Sims. My Runaway Teen 2.0. This was my seasons version of Runaway Teen Challenge because I wanted to see if like the weather had like a big effect on how you could actually do that challenge. And I think I much preferred this version of my Runaway Teen Challenge than I did the original. But I am going to put them into Rosebud. I think below my Gold Digger Challenge, but above my Enchanted by Nature household. This was my seasons household, which in my opinion, we kind of did it a little bit better when it came to the seasons Runaway Teen Challenge rather than the original seasons. Although I did really enjoy that it was like a single dad and a toddler, because that's something I don't really think you see a lot of like representation of, especially in video games. But I am going to put them into Crumple Bottom, just above cats and dogs. They will always be the ones that I feel the most sorry for because I absolutely adored these Sims. I love the kids so much. I was so excited to tell their story. I was like vibing with them so heavy. And then Snowy Escape came out and I was just like, this is boring. This is not a good pack. It has no pack integration. It doesn't really feel like you can go anywhere. I would love to at some point play these two in like a different setting, a different scenario that isn't just based on Snowy Escape. So whilst I really don't like the Let's Play, I really love these Sims, and they're gonna go next to my Get Famous household. Strangerville, just fun. I was a comedian back then. Truly, what a setup. Like 3 strangers that like barely knew each other. I'm fairly sure actually he was maybe the grandson of this Sim, so they actually weren't strangers. I lied. But just hilarious how they ended up like saving Strangerville together. I am going to put them into Rosebud. Vampires, I love the Sims. These weren't the original trio. We also had her brother, who I do think carried a little bit. I just love their love story, and I do really enjoy these Sims. I enjoyed how different they all were, like, in terms of being a vampire, but unfortunately, definitely not as memorable as my Supernatural Sims. I'm gonna put them into Crumple Bottom, but the top of Crumple Bottom. Werewolves, I love. I know it wasn't really like the best Let's Play that I've ever done, but I did really enjoy the sibling like rivalry that we had going on, and I really love the Sims, so they're gonna go again just above Paige but below City Living. And finally, Young Guns 2.0. The tattoos will always be iconic. If you don't know, one of my subscribers, before like custom tattoos were ever a thing, obviously in businesses and hobbies, we had custom tattoos which had each of their names on each other's arms, which I just think is so funny. Genuinely the only thing I remember about Kai, and he was the main character. He was Chloe and Jared's son, and I cannot even remember his name. So they are going to go into the top of Tragic Clown. And there we have it. That is my full tier ranking of every single household and family that I've played in The Sims, like across my channel. But of course, I would love to hear all of your thoughts, even if you don't actually do this tier list for yourself, which I am going to have a link to it down below if you do want to check it out and you want to tag me in them. If you don't want to do that, feel free to let me know how you feel in the comments below. Are there any that you completely disagree with where you're like, that's unfair, but it's okay. We can all have our own opinions. We can all have our own special ties to these Sims. I do really think it's very individual, like even more so than the Let's Plays. I think like seeing yourself in certain Sims, characteristic facial features, the dynamics between characters, all of that is like so personal, and I think there's so many different reasons why you can get enjoyment or why you can relate to a Sim that I've made in any of my series. And that's what I love about doing this. I love when you lot can see yourselves and you're like, oh my God, this is like so accurate to like my situation right now. Or, oh my God, I finally like see some hope in these characters that remind me so much of myself. Like that is one of the coolest feelings in the world. When I create a character that you lot can relate to, I love it. And it's why it's kept me doing it for 12 years. I mean, I would not still be here if I didn't absolutely love doing this. So I just want to thank all of you, each and every single one of you, whether you've watched one part of any of these families or if you've watched them multiple times over and just like are absolutely obsessed. I know a couple of people do like a yearly rewatch of their favorites, especially when it comes to like this time of year, where something just feels like so cozy and so homey for you. It's honestly really cool that people even have like nostalgia for my Sims. Like that's something that I never thought when I uploaded my first series. I never ever thought that that was going to be a thing. I never thought that I would kind of have the privilege to be part of someone's life like that. And you lot made it possible. So thank you all so much for tuning in all of these years. Thank you for the love on each and every sim I've ever created. And I will hopefully see you in the next one. Hopefully we can continue doing this together. Bye, pals. Ooh, she got sappy.